It's challenging, a professional challenge, but the ramifications are both, personally rewarding as well as professionally rewarding.
Major Mike Walter is a clinical laboratory officer, currently working as the Chief of Staff at U.S. Army Medical Research Unit Kenya, better known as USAMRICAE. Walter is in Kenya on his third tour. Africa, he says, gets in your blood.
It certainly does. It's a challenging environment. The work that we're doing out here, if you're looking at the long-term objectives of what can be accomplished, again, just keeps you coming back.
This time around, he says it's different, because this time he's an American soldier in Africa under the AFRICOM umbrella.
With AFRICOM coming here to Kenya, or AFRICOM, standing up, hopefully we can leverage what we already have established here in country to assist with their mission.
AFRICOM's mission is a multi-layered platform of sustained security engagement. In Kenya, this comes in the form of medical research. The environment is Western Kenya, Sub-Saharan Africa, the Rift Valley, a society where zebras roam freely, and British-created tea plantations still dominate the landscape. USAMRICAE is a Walter Reed project, a partnership between the U.S. Army Medical Department and the government of Kenya's Medical Research Institute. USAMRICAE is one of DoD's 5 military research labs overseas. They operate a central lab in Nairobi and field sites in the West.
If there is a common denominator throughout Africa, it is disease. Here in East Africa, USAMRICAE has been helping combat disease for the last 40 years. To date, their efforts have been instrumental in fighting STDs, TB, malaria, and AIDS.
I'm where I want to be, doing what I want to do.
Dr. Doug Schaeffer is a specialist in internal medicine. He came to Kenya on a 5-week site visit 5 years ago. Schaeffer now heads the U.S. military HIV research program in KERICHO.
I think the struggle in part is just the magnitude and the depth and the breadth of the HIV epidemic. The challenge is to continue to try to stay one step ahead.
An estimated 33 million people live with HIV/AIDS globally. In Africa, AIDS is at epidemic levels, especially in sub-Saharan Africa, that part of the continent that lies south of the Sahara Desert. In this region, more than 60% of the population live with HIV. According to recent reports, Kenya has 1.1 million people who live with HIV/AIDS. Just under half are adults, the majority are women. The problem is huge.
KERICHO, before the military came here, didn't have anything in terms of HIV care and treatment.
Dr. Fred SAWE says for the 2.5 million people who live in KERICHO, the presence of the U.S. military is life-altering.
If countries like ours, which the AIDS epidemic had the potential of completely destabilizing it.
SAWE is Schaeffer's second in command. He knows his country and the impact of AIDS.
Whether you are talking about security issues, the police or the military, whether you are talking about healthcare system, where you have high mortality, and the people you are losing are actually the productive members of the society. So you have a breakdown in all the systems in the society you can think about.
The work at USAMRICAE revolves around clinical studies conducted at a College of American Pathologists lab, one of 2 in Africa.
This particular slide that we are looking at, we noted from our culture count that the white blood cell counts were high.
Dr. Peter Kibet is part of USAMRICAE's big picture. He's one of approximately 100 Kenyans who help with the comprehensive clinical research.
It makes me not just feel good, I think it makes all of us feel we are making a big difference.
The challenges Kenya faces in the fight against AIDS are many. Things like lack of basic health care, social stigma, and tribal traditions that disregard monogamy.
The initiatives and policies of AFRICOM are based on strengthening the relationship with Africa, and there are programs that extend all over the continent on many levels. But for those who work here on the ground, the link that binds them all are the people.
When we use very strong antibiotics.
In the military, we always talk about mentorship. You see that same thing here with like Grace, Mama Grace.
I saw possibility of life.
Mama Grace is a former school teacher who stepped forward to take care of orphans with HIV, giving them a chance at life.
Education on HIV and AIDS is still very low.
USAMRICA's team helps as much as they can.
It has helped us morally. The people I've seen, they've given me hearts to stay with these children.
In addition, USAMRICA provides antiretrovirals, ARVs, medications for the treatment of HIV. USAMRICA is one of several U.S. government agencies involved in PEPFAR, the U.S. President's emergency plan for AIDS relief. Launched in 2003, PEPFAR is the largest commitment by any nation to combat a single disease. To date, more than $25 billion provided globally are helping populations with HIV/AIDS. Kenya is one of 15 focused countries to benefit from PEPFAR. The majority are in Africa.
We're fighting a different kind of conflict, and we're combating a lot of infectious disease.
HIV/AIDS is not the only killer on the continent.
I think we're making a big difference. I mean, malaria is endemic here.
Army dietitian Lieutenant Colonel Maria BOVILL. BOVILL is director at the KOMBEWA Clinical Research Center. Clinical trials are underway.
The clinical research study that's ongoing now, the MAL55 study, is to look at potentially the most promising candidate malaria vaccine we have currently. It's a phase 3 trial to test the safety and the efficacy of this vaccine.
Clinical trials are where emerging medicine is tested on humans. Malaria is the #1 killer in Africa, especially in the sub-Sahara and principally among the young. MAL55 is a 3-year study into what could be the first malaria vaccine for children.
One group is 5 months to 17 months, and then we have a younger group that we haven't yet started recruiting for, and that's 6 weeks to 12 weeks.
Ethical protocols currently in place prohibit showing the faces of test subjects.
We protect their identity as part of the ethical review for research.
Everything science requires for an authentic, valid, bona fide study is here.
You know, if we find a way to reduce malaria, or we have other studies where we're looking at reducing diarrhea, those are studies that would apply to our soldiers who are deployed in Africa as well as around the world.
Clinical trials for MAL55 are being conducted in 11 sites in Africa, 3 in Kenya. An effective malaria vaccine would dramatically reduce the number of deaths throughout Africa.